And happening now, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is facing scrutiny from lawmakers after reportedly blocking the promotions of 9 naval officers in a move that disproportionately impacted women and black service members. 5 current and former defense officials detailed to the New York Times how Hegseth's actions appeared to defy rules of the Pentagon's promotion process. That system is supposed to be non-political and based on merit. Pentagon spokesman Sean Parnell told the Times that promotions are given to those who have earned them and that the department will never consider the color of a service member's skin or their gender as a factor. Parnell did not address why Hegseth pulled the officers from the Navy's one-star list. Joining us now to further discuss is retired Lieutenant Colonel Amy McGrath. She's a former Marine combat fighter pilot and recently ran as a Democrat in the Kentucky Senate primary. Nice to see you back on the show here. So if you would, just as we start off this conversation, explain how these promotions typically work and why these actions by the Defense Secretary are so unusual.
Sure. Well, first of all, the folks that get to this level, Pamela, these are the best of the best. They have spent their entire careers doing very hard jobs, very high performance. And promotion boards aren't just some random selection committee. This is the toughest scrutiny of performance records of any profession that I know, takes months of review. And these boards, they make sure you've done the tough jobs. They make sure you've done them very well. All of these officers have done this or they wouldn't have gotten to this point. And for the names to be pulled by Secretary Hegseth, clearly because of race and gender, is outrageous. And it's beneath what America stands for. And unfortunately, there's not much that folks in the military can do about it.
So as the Times details, Secretary Hegseth barred 9 naval officers, including 3 women, 2 black men, and 4 white men from being elevated to the one-star rank of Rear Admiral. But critics argue this is part of a broader pattern in which female and minority officers have either been fired or held back, and part of a bigger campaign aimed at purging the Pentagon of so-called wokeness. You know, we know he wanted to roll back DEI and so forth. Why does that matter?
Well, here's what's happening. Pete Hegseth and his team are trolling the military records and social media accounts of officers, and they're punishing anyone who has ever served on a diversity task force, potentially in the past, or have said anything having to do with championing diversity in the past. They're punishing anyone who was involved in the withdrawal of Afghanistan. By the way, if you want to argue that that was a failure, it was a strategic failure, not a tactical one. And this matters because promotions in the military should be apolitical. Okay, and they have been apolitical. And this sends just a chilling message to everyone in the Pentagon and everyone within DOD. They're walking around, people are walking around scared right now, trying not to get fired. And that's you know, a problem. It's ultimately a problem for our national security writ large.
I'm wondering, you know, I think Hegseth and those who support his decisions here would say, well, the military has gone too far astray, prioritizing diversity over merit, and we saw these DEI offices and so forth. And I wonder what you say to that. Have you seen examples where diversity has been prioritized over merit?
So even if you take the argument of, hey, we don't want these diversity initiatives anymore, remember that these officers, in many cases, were told to do these jobs. Okay, it's like in the Justice Department where folks in the Justice Department were told to go to Mar-a-Lago and pick up the records. They don't get a choice as to what duty stations they get. They do it and they do it well. And for them to be punished later on because of the jobs that they were given 4, 5, 6, or 10 years ago is absolutely wrong and outrageous.
According to top Democrat on the Senate Armed Services Committee, Jack Reed, he's been very outspoken on this issue. He says almost 60% of senior officers fired by Secretary Hegseth during his tenure are female or black. The Pentagon says promotions simply go to whoever earns them. Why don't you believe that? Tell us a little bit more.
Well, first of all, women in the high ranks in the United States Navy are already underrepresented. Okay, so the United States Navy has about 20% women. 20% of the fleet sailors are women. 30% of academy graduates, so those who graduate from the U.S. Naval Academy, are women. But by the time you get to admiral, it's like 6%. And so this isn't, based on performance. It's based on a lot of factors. But to target women who are in, and Black officers who have risen to this rank is just outrageous. These folks are my peers. They have done, in the case of women in particular, they have done the job with no standards have ever been lowered. We've come in the last 20, 30 years and done the exact same jobs as the men have done. And so to get to this level is really, really important. They've worked very hard for it. And so it's it's just outrageous that this is happening.
All right, Lieutenant Colonel Amy McGrath, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your perspective. We appreciate it.